Work, hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, work. There you go.
Forward!
Hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, work. There you go.
Forward!
Hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, work. There you go.
Forward!
Hard work, hard work, hard work.
Fall in.
Hey, good morning, good morning, good morning. Y'all know what it is. It's your boy Trey. And this is E2G Sports Networks presents to you First Formation Morning Sports Talk. So come and fall in as we get to covering what is going on in the sports world, around the world sometimes, just in general, not necessarily just sports, as it's just been a plethora, a bevy of things that have popped off in NBA, NFL, just the most has been happening. Positivity and love to everyone out there. We're going to work it out. I can tell you, we're going to work it out. So, like I said, a whole lot going on. Of course, fresh off the presses, I guess you could say this morning. Back for the second time. I guess you could say back again like he never left. The man, the myth, the legend. Y'all all call him the GOAT in NFL football. That man being Tom Brady has decided to call it quits after this past season, his 23rd season, 43 years old, 43 years young. Of course, we all know Tom Brady, famously known as the 6th round pick in the 2000 draft, number 199 overall, selected by New England Patriots. What we know now is what was not known then, or was it? Was he selected with the idea that he was going to be exactly who he turned out to be? Or did it just happen that way? Was it a perfect storm of things happening? Drew Bledsoe going down, Bill Belichick enacting his offense, putting in the work, putting the bodies around to what we have now seen and developed Tom Brady. Guaranteed Hall of Famer, first ballot Hall of Famer. I guess you say he retired now. So come 2028, 29 time frame, we should see the bust of Tom Brady in the Hall of Fame. Of course, he's going to wait for it, just buy his time waiting. Becoming a full-time starter around the second his second season with the aforementioned Patriots. 7-time Super Bowl champion. Is that the most glaring number? He has plenty of them. 7-time Super Bowl champion, 3-time NFL MVP, 5-time Super Bowl MVP. So that's 5 out of 7. And just keep in mind, he's a 7-time Pro Bowl, 7-time Super Bowl champion, but that is not amount the times in which he's been to the Super Bowl. 7-time Super Bowl champion, 3-time first team All-Pro, 3-time second team All-Pro, 15-time Pro Bowler, 2009 Comeback Player of the Year, named to the 2010 All-Decade teams, as well as one of the NFL, as well as named to the NFL's 100th anniversary all-time team. Anthony said he ain't retired until he signs his papers. I don't think he's ready to back this time, Anthony. I think, what I'm saying, it's finally everything has took a toll, and he's now, which is crazy now when you look at it, taking into consideration everything that has to go through. Technically, at this point, this man lost his wife. presumably to this situation, him not wanting to call it quits, in which he had his last hurrah. Um, his ex did what she had to, or they did what they had to do, and it put him in a point. He went on, and now here he is. When you take a look at Tom Brady, he ranks number one in the NFL history in completions with 7,753, uh, 12,050 pass attempts, 89,214 yards passing in regular season, 649 passing TDs, as well as 333 starts. He has 251 wins in the 333 starts. Pro Bowl 15 times, so Super Bowl five Super Bowl MVPs. So you see a bunch of number ones. Additionally, Brady also led the NFL in passing TDs 5 times, which is the 2002, 2007, 2010, 15, and 21. If you listen to the latter, the 21 was just 2 years ago, in which he led the NFL in passing TDs at the tender age of 41. The most such seasons by any player in NFL history. Maybe this amounts to why he is considered the GOAT. When you take that into consideration, all that, maybe he is becoming of that name. And like I said, all those accolades came during or what was mentioned for the regular season. That does not take in consideration his season, his his playoff records. If you amount the playoff records, I think he has over 100,000 yards passing when you tabulate the playoffs as well as the regular season. Maybe this guy is the GOAT. Maybe it is unheralded to not even put that in his name when you speak of him. First year Hall of Ballader, and he just freshly retired, and we all know that he's going to be enthralled into the Hall of Fame once he becomes eligible, as well as a couple of other ones as going forward. Um, but like Anthony said, is he done? Do you think he's over? Do you think it's a wrap? Will we see Tom Brady again in a uniform, playing in this competitive sport, or is he done? Done. Is it over? Called it a wrap for TB12. 2 franchises, won a Super Bowl with both franchises, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as well as the New England Patriots. 6 championships with the Patriots, 1 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. To think of, would he have won that Super Bowl no matter where he had went? Would he have more than one Super Bowl had he went anywhere else? Just a bunch of what ifs, of course. When you look at it, made it happen. And what's crazy is when you look back at it, we always put emphasis on certain things when we look at quarterbacks. Of course, we look at the fact of having the ability to move agilely in the pocket is conducive to other type of attributes in which you have can be detrimental. They can sit up and make it work. It can help a situation. But Tom Brady was slow motion for me, baby. That was Tom Brady. And yet, look at what he amounted to. Again, I think back and wonder, was it based on the simple fact that he had all these things in place when you look at it from the aspect of what the Patriots did. So I just wonder what else could have been with Tom Brady, or could it have been anything different in any situation? So what is it? What else could he have amounted to? Or did he reach it? Was it all great at the end of it? I think he was good at the end of it. He made a believer. out of me. uh, but of course, you know what I'm saying, here. What's going on, Steve? What's going on, brother? Good morning, brother. How you doing? Glad to see information with us this morning. Um, so there you have it. Tom Brady, 23 seasons, 20 postseasons appeared. 10 total Super Bowl appearances. As we watch greatness walk off into the sunset. As we say, in that it was his clone. He was cloned. He been rocking with it. 1,200 postseason completions. This is the records of which we was talking about from the aspect. 1,200 postseason completions, 13,400 playoff passing yards, 88 postseason touchdowns, 14 game-winning drives, 9 fourth-quarter comebacks, all the most in NFL history when it comes to the playoffs. So the man is creme de la creme. What's good, Leslie? How you doing? Glad to have you formation this morning, brother. Doing the most. Tom Brady did what it needed to be done. Put up the numbers he needed to put it up. Actually, did you need to put up the numbers? He did great things. I guess they say you can't. All you can do is tip your hat to him in what is conceived to be his greatness. He's out. Hopefully. Do you think he did anything to tarnish his career? Like, do you think let's say the last 2 years, because he won the Super Bowl, the last 2 years, do you think he has done anything that could potentially have put a stain on his career, or do you think basically he was good, he didn't do anything? In my opinion, he probably didn't do anything outside of what anyone else would have did in his situation, or he was just regular one. What's good, Key? Glad to have you information this morning. What's good with you? Anthony said he picked football over his wife. So you know what, Anthony, I think about that, right? And I have to really sit up and think about initially, like I said, while I started to talk what I was talking about it earlier, I was thinking to myself, like, yo, he did, saying he lost his family over this situation. But did he lose his family over this situation? Like, was it the reason? Was him playing the reason really? I know the all everything came out stating that he, saying it was like his wife or ex-wife, Gazelle would cringe over certain things like him taking hits and stuff like that. But was the damage done prior to him doing this? Like, let's say had he, in my assertion was, in my own personal opinion was that had he retired, would that have been enough for his wife, for his life to be sustainable after football? Like, was what was going to make his wife happy, to which would have led to them staying together, or was it already a done deal? And that's why he came back, because it was already a done deal. It was at this point, it's like he still had love for the game. He still wanted to play, and he only came back because the reason why he left initially wasn't enough. And that's just what I wonder. I think about. Okay, Leslie said the last 2 years won't tarnish. What was the point in this year? I think it was just he wasn't ready to go yet, Anthony. Or maybe it filled the purpose. Like maybe he had more going on in his life than what we was led to believe or what was put out there, and he basically used football as that bridgeway to finish up. It was his last time in which he came out, and now he said he's done, announcing that he's finished. It's a wrap. It wasn't the money; it was the time. Uh, so it's just one of those things. He should have retired last season. I think he just wasn't ready yet. I think he did it on the angst of doing it for his family, doing it for his wife. And sometimes when you do that, it doesn't amount. It doesn't amount to anything. You do more harm than because you do it and I think he did it because they wanted it, and he necessarily wasn't ready. And he decided to do it when he was ready, do it on his own time, and that's what happened. I think that was the end state, and that happens. I think plenty of times. A lot of times, you tend to go forth and do stuff because you're doing it based on you're doing it for someone else, and idealistically, you need to do it for yourself because end state is it comes back to bite you. I believe at some point it's gonna come back to where you do this based on what you want to do from everyone else, and when you do that, it's based on it's for everyone else's happiness, everyone else's idealizations, everyone else. And then in state is if it wasn't what you really want to do to begin with, it comes back and bite you, and you're miserable behind it. You have to live with it, and it just doesn't. I think that's what's the thing for Tom Brady. And when he came back, it was a decision that he made, knowing what the ramifications was, and he went forth living with those ramifications. And this is what it is. So his legacy, like Leslie Stowe said, his legacy shouldn't be tarnished in those 2 years. He probably should have retired last year, but he didn't. And now this is where you find him, and he is going to be moving forth from there. Now we all know he has a deal to go work in the booth. Is he going to do that? We know that could be as grueling of a situation as anything else, as there's preparations and stuff that plays a huge part um in the whole in that as well. So, but it might do, at least he's not going to be getting hit. He'll be in the booth. Um he can make a good killing, especially if he's good at it. So, you know what I'm saying? All hats off, of course, to Tom Brady. Um Going forth and doing what he has to do. We know people like Drew Brees, he wasn't too enact in doing it. He didn't particularly care for working in the booth and being uh, there. So he left it and decided to go and do what he has to do with his family. So different strokes for different folks. Sometimes it's just things, or sometimes you all have the same ideal and you get to where you get to. It just takes time. And sometimes it's just um, different routes taken, different avenues, and you get to where you're trying to get initially. Um, it can be grueling sometimes, however. He's going to work in the booth for 4 years, get a coaching job. I don't know, Anthony. I don't know if coaching is in his cards. Could you see Tom Brady as a coach? Do you think, or it could be one of those things where it might just come to be one of those things in which he comes to love, in which he comes out to end up start doing. So you never know. I think first and foremost is he has to have a love for it. And if he has a love for it, then of course you can start to grow that love and watch it bloom and blossom and turn it into something. One thing we know for sure, he's Tom Brady. So he's gonna he'll potentially get at least one or two shots if he wanted to do that. It's just Saturday can get a job. Tom can too. Again, like I get it. Jeff Saturday wanted to be a coach though. And he took the opportunity was presented in front of him, and he took the opportunity. He grabbed it, and currently potentially may be a candidate for it because currently there's only two jobs that remain out there. Of course, we'll get to momentarily. So I don't know. I honestly believe Leftwich lost his job because um, they had to lose his job in order for him to go ahead to move around. That's just my opinion. In my world, in my head, in my world, they did it to help him go about his business because Todd Bowles probably shouldn't have been the coach. Maybe it should have been Byron Leftwich that had gotten that position. Um, so it's it's probably a good chance that there is an opportunity for any of them and all of them. Of course, Todd Bowles, in my opinion, like I said, Todd Bowles probably should have been. It probably should have been someone else that got the head coaching job, in my opinion. But I mean, Todd Bowles, of course, there had to be some stuff in play for Todd Bowles to get that position and to be in that position. So it's no telling. So in state is when it comes down to it, he's going to be um, looked at, I'm sure, especially with Byron Leftwich going. They're going to be looked at. Byron Leftwich may be or may not get a position opportunity right now. Maybe not. He might get on as an offensive coordinator somewhere, or maybe he might chill for a second, or maybe he might be brought on later on, or get on someone's squad in which he's going to sit on someone's offense, and they're going to continue to go from there. But it remains to be seen. Only coaching he's doing is coaching his son, and possibly Donovan. You might be right. It's possible. It's very possible that he can be he can go and just coach his son, which is sometimes it all goes out from there. Like no one who else, how many males out there, or even females, I don't particularly like the gender role stuff, but how many males out there would like nothing more but to be able to coach their offspring or someone in which you're over to sit up and to show or to try to do that, to see their kid come into their own in one way of fashion. Sometimes it's not even about you don't even have to reach a certain stardom. Sometimes it's about just seeing watch you overcome the adversities. Even to be mediocre is galvanizing or leads you to have a sense of euphoria. Is like, okay, this is what I did because you took something, and even to be mediocre at a point to sit and watch and be like, you know what, they're good. Not the best, but they were effective. And sometimes that's what it takes. So of course it's plenty out there. It's a plethora of different things in which you can basically derive from. Maybe. I mean, it's not off. I don't think it's off centered. I think it's unfair potentially to just assume that he's probably going to coach or anything like that. What we do know is that he's going to be um, he's going to be instrumental in some things going forward. Of course, the building of the network show, or coming on and being a personality on the show, maybe that works out for him. Or he could took the route like here, like we're talking about uh, what Anthony's basically talking about is him being like Dion. Maybe. I don't know. Or maybe he allows that for somebody else. He does, you know what I'm saying? His watch is over. Maybe he sits up and does what he can. Excuse me. Drop something. And he allows that to happen. So I think at this point, sky's the limit. I mean, he's gonna be free of stuff. He probably doesn't have to worry about anything for a lifetime. I'm very sure he's built a pretty good nest egg, and now anything in reference to his legacy goes forward. So I honestly believe that he's going to be well taken care of going forth, and his kids don't have nothing to worry about. So definitely a good thing going forth, in my opinion. So yeah, he's going to definitely do commentary. Now, how good would he be at time commentary? Like I think my initial thought was let's take in consideration um, Tony Romo, right? Tony Romo. I initially thought Tony Romo was going to be a key candidate or something that probably would be very efficient in being a sports coordinator. I mean, correction, a offensive coordinator, and then going on from offensive coordination to potentially seizing a job as a head coach. I love Jeff Jarrett or anyone else. But he didn't. He's been in the booth, and that's where he's currently sitting in the booth, and he continues to do that. Where he's not too shabby at it. So it all depends. Like saying everyone grows into a certain after a career. Um, Ideally, hopefully, I grow into something after a career and doing something else that was in correlation to this. So you never know. It's going to be life. Like they said, life is what you make it. Um, Anthony Price wonder how he's making money when he's been getting paid cuts every year. I'm very sure he got endorsements. He's gonna probably continue to get endorsements. That's what you got an agent for, the agent to sit up, and I'm very sure they've put together a pretty comprehensive plan of what life looks like after Tom Brady. He's going to be paid probably handsomely by the network in which he's going to work for. I'm very sure he's going to continue to put endorsements. I'm very sure he has some investments that he has. So I'm very sure he's going to have. He has a viable avenues to continue to incur money, some revenue streams that are going to be very conducive to him. So I think that Tom is going to be well taken care of. So yeah, Under Armour. So he has. I'm very sure he has endorsements, and it's not. Think about it. There's not much we hear in reference to Tom Brady being that a dude that like a dirt bag in instances and stuff like that. So he should be good. At least right now we don't. There's no scandals. We haven't heard Tom Brady in a scandal outside of the Flakegate and the video stuff in reference with the being with the Patriots. Um, I think it's probably so, Leslie. So he's good. He's going to be. I think in state he's going to be good. Um, so moving a little on, moving just past Tom Brady, as he said, the GOAT, as they call him, calls it quits. Now, carousels. Carousels is the first thing that comes to mind when I'm about to get into this next topic. So when you think about carousels, merry-go-rounds, uh, carnivals, parks, and things like that, things in which kids love. In this instance, I think the kids are us, the sports fans, those who take a look and breathe, live sports, novice sports people, just people in general. We are the kids in this carousel. The carousel in which I talk about is the one, the only coaching carousel. In on this coaching carousel, there were two individuals in which we watched go round and round and round and round in a circle with us over the last couple of weeks. And now what you have is two of those individuals on the said carousel have gotten off. They finally decide to get off the carousel. Those two, or let's say four total, four people total, two people, two organizations. That's the Houston Texans and the Denver Broncos have decided to jump off the carousel as they have collected who followed toe behind two coaches, Sean Payton and D'Amico Ryans. Yesterday, both came to terms with said teams. Sean Payton, former New Orleans Saints head coach, came to terms and decided to come back to coach after 1 year off from coaching from the New Orleans Saints. Come back to coach and picked up the job with the Denver Broncos. Of course, due to the fact that Sean Payton was still under contract at the particular time, at this particular time, there basically was a trade. So now the New Orleans Saints have traded Sean Payton and a 2024 third round draft pick to the Denver Broncos for a 2023 first round draft pick, as well as a 2024 second round draft pick to have Sean Payton leave New Orleans and go and coach Denver. So, with that being said, does that first and foremost for the Denver faithful, does that move the needle? We already know Russell Wilson signed the extension when he got to Denver, so he's locked in there. They have a pretty good, not bad receiving core in my opinion. Receiving room with Judy and Cortland Sunderland and it's one other wide receiver which they have. They might have to find a running back. At one point, there was a top-rated defense at the beginning of the year. Oh, it says Sean Payton will have a better season. Defensive coordinators don't do good as head coaches. You know what? That's funny you say that, Anthony, because we're going to get to that. That is a good point in which you make, in which we're going to cover. We're going to tap in on that point momentarily. But yeah, so now you're saying that's where what we have. You have basically from a certain standpoint that what is the life in Bronco going forth? Now, do you get the chance to enact the Let's Ride moniker in which Russell Wilson came there with just a year later under a new coach, and that's going to probably bring in a coordinator that's going to be effective, that's going to tap in to what it is. Of course, Daniel Hackett was the offensive coordinator, but I just think it wasn't his time. He wasn't ready yet. Well, maybe the Broncos wasn't the organization for him, or they didn't have the tools in which he needed to be successful. They're going to have to get a run game. I mean, they're going to have to basically develop a run game, of course. And like I was just saying, they're going to have to develop a better defensive unit going forth. They did have a suitable secondary that was in the top percentile of the league, but in state is they didn't have enough at the end, going 4-11 on the year, or 5-12. It was 4-11 when they fired Daniel Hackett, and then the interim coach came in and went 1-1, won the one game and one loss as they finished the year at 5-12. That's what you have now currently in New Orleans. On the other side of the spectrum, like I was saying, 2 got off. The Houston Texans jumped off the carousel with former defensive coordinator. You know, this hits me so hard. This hurts me so much. Former defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers, D'Amico Ryans, congratulations, as he moves forth and becomes the head coach for the Houston Texans, going back to where it all started for him, being drafted by the Texans. He played linebacker. He was he's been a coach 6 years, only 6 years coaching in general, to where he started out on the as a defensive assistant and moved from the defensive assistant position into the linebackers coach, and then did that for 2 years. And then after Robert Saleh decided to go and become the head coach for the New York Jets, D'Amico Ryans was promoted to the defensive coordinator, which he did for 2 years. And now in that time frame, has afforded an opportunity to build. In my opinion, I call it like he's working out. He worked out and built it to where he can go and compete. Now a head coach, 6-year contract, 6 years. So a couple of things hit me when I heard his contract, the assistant contractor, what you got. He got 6 year, a 6-year deal. Now, we hear 6 years, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be locked in them 6 years. Let's be honest, if he's not adequate at the position, they're going to release him. Just like no different from the coaches before him, that in the last 4 years, the Houston Texans have had 4 coaches, starting out with Bill O'Brien, although he did get a couple of years in. He started it. Then they went from Bill O'Brien to Gully. Gully was fired the year after that. Then they went to Lovie Smith just last year. He was fired the year after that. Now they are year 4, and insert D'Amico Ryans. So I don't know if we're going to have a situation if D'Amico Ryans doesn't get it right currently, that if they're going to fire him, I would hope not. Give him an opportunity to develop, which I think is the clear and concise thing in what you're going to do. Give him an opportunity to play, to build the unit and see where it goes. So at least 3 to 4 years, I would think, at minimum. They got to give him 3 to 4 years. But what I was about to say is, I think that is being enacted in the line of how San Francisco did. So when San Francisco hired Coach Shanahan, at the same time they hired GM John Lynch, and the idea was given, and then they were given 6 years to do what they had to do, to best do what they had to do. So that was given a 6-year time frame, which is like, okay, we're gonna give you 6 years. So hopefully that is the same thing in which D'Amico Ryan gets. 6 years, if that's his contract, 6 years to see if he can turn it around. Historical data, whatever that presents, what it usually takes to turn the team around consistently. Because he can turn it, he can have a hot year next year and then fall off the next 3 years. So historically, I don't know what the data states on what it takes to turn the team around, but maybe within the 6-year process, we can see where 5 become 2028. D'Amico Ryans will still be the head coach for the Houston Texans. I don't know what success looks like in that case. Is success them getting to 500? Is success them consistently getting to the playoffs, or maybe winning a division championship or two, and but being ousted in the playoffs early in the playoffs? Like, I don't know what that's a sustainable success looks like, but we'll see. Now D'Amico Ryan is going to be tasked with putting together a better defense. Again, another one of those teams that had being one of those teams that that has had success with their defense, or for a secondary aspect, and has to. He's a defensive coordinator. Just talked about one of the things which you just talked about, Anthony just spoke of. Defensive coordinators don't do good as head coaches. Robert Saleh, current head coach, they can do good in his first year. Second year, it was looking good until the rails fell off because of the offensive woes. D'Amico Ryan is going in as a defensive coordinator. Now we'll see how that moniker, how that is set for it. What's the tone that's going to be set by him going in? He's going to have to find. They don't have a franchise quarterback currently. They have Davis Mills, who played last year. He threw more interceptions than he did touchdowns. Actually, he averaged a touchdown. An interception a game. He played 15 games and threw 4 touchdowns. Threw 15 interceptions. So they're going to be going to even looking to trade for, grab out of free agency, or grab out the draft their next quarterback, or what they would hope to be their next franchise quarterback. They have, you all know, the franchise correction. The it's on the tip of my tongue. I'm sorry. The salary cap. The salary cap has been moved to $224 million. With that movement, that gives the Texans $40 million in salary cap space currently. So if they have to go through free agency or something like that, they might be able to find somebody. But we know that they need more than just a quarterback. So I don't think they would want to spend too much on a quarterback. Do they go and grab and doing something within the historic, go and grab Derek Carr? We all know his brother, David, was the first franchise quarterback for the New Texans as they were enacted over 20 years ago. Do they sit up and repeat that and bring in Derek Carr, who was perceived to be a suitable quarterback in Las Vegas until he wasn't? Can D'Amico Ryans work with David Carr, and can they put weapons around David Carr? Do they go after Jimmy Garoppolo? Do they pull him in? You got Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield. So you got a plethora of people that's out there in free agency that they can look at, and I guess you could say proverbially kick the tires on. Good morning, sis. What's going on, Kenny? Glad to have you information with us this morning. I'm happy to see you listening, rocking with us. So it's so many things in state in which we can take a look at in reference to what can be going on, especially for Houston. So I don't know. We never know. Currently, like I said, 2 vacancies still remaining. So David Mills, I think, is going to be his backup. They're going to be a backup, or at minimum, I don't think. So I clearly, Anthony, don't think that if they go with a rookie quarterback, i.e., get a player from the draft or even someone that was young and around the same, has the same type of playing experience as David Carr, maybe David Mills at 1 or 2 years in the league compared to his, because it was his rookie season. I think they come in and there's a competition. They compete. I think they come in and they compete. I think that he comes in, they come in and compete. Now, if you go get a veteran, I don't think it's too many veterans. Out of the veterans in which I mentioned, I don't foresee David Mills beating them out. Because regardless, they're going to have to. Because what's going to happen is they're going to have to. There's going to be, it's a new system involved enacted. D'Amico Ryans isn't going to call the plays. I don't think so. Not from an offensive standpoint. I'm sure he's going to get an offensive coordinator. He may even bring in a defensive coordinator, and he might not sit up and call the calls. So, I mean, they're already talking about him snatching up and poaching the one of the passing assistants, defensive passing assistants from the 49ers. So he already knows potentially who people in which he works with or worked over with that can potentially, he can look to employ and give a position to, or promote and go ahead, can bring him in as an offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator or however, and build his coaching staff. So I wouldn't say necessarily that you giving up on David Mills, but it's clear and concisely that they're not, David Mills isn't presumably their franchise quarterback, but it doesn't mean they're going to give up on him. He may still stay around, and he may sit there as a backup and learn the system, and maybe in learning the system become more adept in the system, and in state potentially maybe be better than whoever they bring in. It's the same thing they did with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson they could come into the Seattle organization with the expectation of being the starter. He was like a 4th round pick. They got into training camp. He showed his moxie, and there you have it. He beat out the veterans there. He beat out everyone that was there, and he became the starter. David Mills could do the same. In state is all you need is a chance. But like I was saying, not to sip. Where is that at? Best 7 Sports Talk. I am not omitting you. I seen your your comment. What I want to do is after the show, I want to hit you up directly. So if I see your contact, if I find your contact information, I can talk to you or get with you, and we can rap a little bit. But greatly appreciate being information with us and watching the show. Glad to have you here. But back to, so 2 vacancies still remain. 2 vacancies remain. That's the Arizona Cardinals and the Indianapolis Colts. When you look at it, of course, the Cardinals have done interviews with Lou Anarumo from the Bengals defensive coordinator, and Brian Callahan, Bengals offensive coordinators. They both are scheduled to do those interviews, I think, next week before the Super Bowl. Ihiro Evero, the Broncos defensive coordinator, as well as Brian Flores, the Steelers defensive coordinator, also have completed interviews. Aaron Glenn, Lions defensive coordinator, completed his, but he did say that he planned to stay with Detroit, so his name is off the list. Vance Joseph, the Cardinals defensive coordinator, also at one point was their head coach. He has completed he completed his interview. Sean Payton was interviewed, but of course he's hired for the Broncos. He's off. Dan Quinn has said he's going to stay with the Cowboys, so he's out. Frank Reich is currently the NFL is the Carolina Panthers head coach now, so he's out. D'Amico Ryans, another interviewee, he's currently the Texas head coach, so he's out. And lastly is Mike Kafka, the offensive coordinator from the Giants, who also has completed. So currently, I'm presuming that after interviewing the 2 coordinators from the Cincinnati Bengals, potentially they're going to go ahead and make a decision for the Arizona Cardinals. Surprise Giants OC might get that Mike Kafka, maybe, possibly. But I'm presuming that we won't know till after the two coordinators from the Cincinnati Bengals finish and do their interview. No different from D'Amico Ryans finishing and doing his interview with the Denver Broncos, which was he was the last person to interview, and then of course they made their selection, and then the Houston Texans made theirs. I think it seemingly went hand in hand. When you look at it, hopefully not to go yet, I'll come double back to this a question which I have out there. Um, for the Colts, of course, they're still up and have people that's out there. They have a barrel of riches, I guess you could say, in a sense, when it comes to their team. Currently, of course, Eric Bieniemy, offensive coordinator, former offensive coordinator from the Kansas City Chiefs, but he's not former yet. They are in the Super Bowl, so he's complete. But he has completed his interview with the Indianapolis Colts. Rich Bisaccia, uh, the Packers special teams coordinator has a second interview scheduled. Brian Callahan, the offensive coordinator for the Bengals, has a second interview scheduled. Ihiro Evero, a second interview schedule as well, who is currently the Broncos defensive coordinator. Aaron Glenn, the defensive line coordinator, he completed, but as I stated before, correction, it wasn't him. It was Ben Johnson who decided to stay with the Lions, who is the offensive coordinator. The defensive coordinator, Aaron Glenn, has interviewed with both the Chief with the Cardinals as well as the Colts. So those are completed. Mike Kafka as well completed his interview. Then additionally, you have Wink Martindale, who's on the second interview. Raheem Morris, defensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Rams, is on a second interview schedule. Dan Quinn decided to stay with the Cowboys, of course, and then you go down the line. Shane Steichen, Eagles offensive coordinator, completed his. Bubba Ventura, the Colts special team coordinator, put his name in a hat. Jeff Haddish Saturday has completed his interview. Ryans is gone because he's a Texan. He's the Texans head coach now. And there you have it. So I would say, does the second interview make a difference? Why are you taking a shot at Wentz? You think Wentz is going to get cut? You really think Wentz is going to get cut, or you think they're going to work with him? Why is it that culture? You know what? That's funny, right? Just to drop off, because I have more reference to talk about when it comes to coaches. But Anthony brings up a point in which I want to touch on real quick, right? So just like I attest this comment, Anthony, and not picking on you, just you happen to say this comment. I attest this comment as a comment of the cancel culture, right? So the cancel culture is very vicious. It's a vicious cycle. You say the wrong thing, potentially do the wrong thing, and everyone wants your neck. They come for your head. Guillotine. Decapitation. Does Wentz get an opportunity to try to get it right? And I'm not a Wentz fan. I know if Bishop is on here, he'll presume that I am. I'm not a Wentz fan, but however, I am a person that thinks that you have to have an opportunity to get things right. Everything doesn't just come naturally. Some things have to be worked at. You do it over time. No different. We just got finished talking about the GOAT. He had an opportunity. He capitalized on the opportunity. I know Carson Wentz is on his third team. And so is a move. Cutting Wentz will save us having this $32 million cap room. I get it, but what are you replacing that cap room with? Like, if you was to cut Wentz right now, Anthony, what would be y'all's go-to at the quarterback? Taylor Heineke? Y'all drafting a rookie that y'all could put in there? Like, what would be the aspect? What is that? Because that basically just let's say y'all do put a rookie in there and they do serviceably. They may not do anything, but they give y'all a winning culture over the next 2 or 3 years. I got to pay that rookie at some point. So, and then cutting Wentz, like you said, yes, true enough, cutting Wentz is going to save y'all $32 million in cap room, but the reason he was paid that money is to be the quarterback there. So if y'all cut Wentz, where does that put you? Howell was a backup. Taylor, Yeah, Howell and backup Taylor. So you want to have Sam Howell as a starter, and Taylor Heineke become the backup. Okay, and cut Wentz to get you to put you in to give you some space, some cap room space to bring in more weapons potentially or people to play. All right, I see you, GM Anthony Price. I'm very sure there's a machine out there where you can sit up and enact that and see how does that come out, how all that plays out if you was to leave Sam Howell as a backup, Taylor Heineke, and see how much room you got, and then get rid of everything else and cut the fat, trim the fat around the rest of your team and see how does that come out. I'll be interested in hearing that. But of course, you know what I'm saying, continuing on, something else that came up in reference to the coaches. And this is a little interesting. So what happened is but y'all decide to take him. Maybe he's willing to negotiate or renegotiate his contract to afford y'all some opportunity, some room. Okay, I'm sorry, a break. So, interesting enough, David Tepper, if you don't know the name, he is the owner of the Carolina Panthers, and which is currently getting a bit of slack due to the fact that they hired head coach Frank Reich over the interim coach Stephen Wilkes. Wilkes was in place as the interim coach after the organization fired Coach Matt Rule. We're good. We could have used him. I won't even lie to you. We could have used him last week. We could have used him. I'm not gonna even lie to you. We could have used him. He could have been our third string or fourth string. Had he been released, I'm very sure he would have been on roster. But yeah, so David Tepper, owner of the Carolina Panthers, chose Frank Reich over Stephen Wilkes for the head coaching job of the Carolina Panthers. Now, of course, what happened is Steve Wilkes is part of an injunction or a lawsuit versus the NFL, stating with the law firm coming out saying that the NFL is racist or it doesn't like black quarterbacks or black or people of color or minorities in positions. Tepper, on the other hand, now hear this out, check this out. Tepper, on the other hand, has says that he's doing what he can to get rid of the good old boy system amongst the NFL ranks. So seemingly he has came out and said and admitted to, or not, I can say admitted to, we won't say admitted to. He has came out and he has let it be and said that he has an initiative to remove that moniker of the good old boy system in the NFL. How is he doing that? First and foremost, Tepper said he has one of the most diverse administrative offices in the league. That being his wife, who is African American, along with 4 other women of African American lineage or descent, or who are African American, or part of his administrative team, his collective. At this point, he's like, it just happens to be that he chose Frank Wright, who is a Caucasian male, as the head coach over Stephen Wilkes, who is an African American male. But he said there was a reason for it. Let's saying perspective. Let's take a perspective and listen to the data in which he used the data. he went and the reason for it is due to the the data states that basically the offensive coordinator or offensive minded coach has been more productive and conducive to winning and getting to the Super Bowl than the defensive minded coach. If you look at it, just in which they took in comparison, this past Final Four in the AFC NFC championships were for offensive minded coaches: Kyle Shanahan, Taylor, Reed, and Sirianni, offensive minded coaches. It starts to speak to it. So he's like, that was the reason. It's been more of these like and then even I think he gave an insight to what is to come in reference to um people what is to come in reference to uh what is to come in reference to I'm sorry, it slips me at this time. Oh, rules. Basically, he's like the rules are being changed to be more conducive and more predicated towards offense. So he's like, you're basically the chances, the benefits are pointing to offensive. He's like, offenses put eyeballs in seats, bring eyeballs to the game. Hence the reason why the NFL is starting to go to more of that type model, in which now he said his shift was. So he's like, there's a reason for him selecting selecting Reich over Wilkes. Of course, he didn't say how close or if Coach Wilkes had a chance, but the general manager was afforded some insight to it. He said, yes, he definitely had a chance. It was obviously between Reich and Wilkes. In-state was Reich had the experience as a head coach in the offensive, being an offensive minded coach, in which gave him the insight, in which gave him the lead. I guess you could say he got the lean at the end to get the tape, because what presumably the NFL is going towards. So I don't know how many people buy into that. Of course, they said they ain't buying to it because he still has a part of the. They still are. He still has a law firm that's representing him, and part of the suit versus the NFL in reference to coaches and stuff like that. Currently, there's 4 African American people of color. I guess 5 when you take Ron Rivera. People of color at the helm of teams. Mike Tomlin for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, D'Amico Ryans for the Houston Texans. Additionally, Todd Bowles for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Ron Rivera for the Washington Commanders. And, of course, last but not least, who represents as biracial or declares as biracial, Mike McDaniels in Miami. So now we just not too long was at 9. Now we're at 5, and with 2 positions open. We remains to be seen. Once I'm sorry. So Anthony said, didn't Ron win a Super Bowl as a head coach? Ron who? Rivera? No. I don't know. So Ron, he didn't. They went to a Super Bowl. They lost the Super Bowl to Denver. That is the year that Cam Newton won the MVP, and the Carolina Panthers were 15-1 in the Super Bowl, and they got slapped by the Denver Broncos, and they said Cam didn't have what it takes because he didn't jump on the ball when Von Miller hit him. So true that, Donovan, and I don't think no one's trying to say who the owners should hire, right? They're not saying who they should hire, but what the ideal is, and then this is what you got to take a perspective of, Donovan, is that when you look at it, right, he's an insider. He sees what goes on. He's in the meetings. I'm very sure he's in talks or have been in talks and stuff like that. And he knows probably that he has a pulse to some degree of what the owners do. So with that being said, I think what he's trying to say without saying is that there's a problem, and it seems systematic. There's an issue. And in that issue, what he can do, only do what he can do from his foxhole, as we say in the military, in which is he does what he does within his organization, and hopefully that resonates with other organizations that starts to change the culture around the league. And so what's going on is they're not trying to say who should hire. And I agree with you. You can't tell me who I should hire. My mindset is I go forth with the idea of putting the best person in place to lead my organization or to do whatever it is which I'm looking for, whether I'm looking for someone to lead it, quarterback, head coach, GM, player operations, public affairs, whatever it is in which I'm looking for to get into the aspect, that's what you should be doing. So that's, I think, the conversation which he's basically trying to put forth and trying to bring to the light is that he's trying to change the culture as best he can. Sometimes you can't do it with one person. He's depending on where and how they get down to what they do. In state is currently there's only three head coaches. Correction, 4 African American head coaches, one I think Latino head coach in the league amongst 5 or 32. Is that a problem? Potentially, maybe. Is it saying that there's not any other candidates are above or able to head coach? I don't know. There seems to be an uptick in minorities in key positions, i.e., general managers and stuff like that. While there's a shift in the coaches. Now last year we was at 9 coaches, I think 8 head coaches of minority head coaches. Now we're at 4. Currently, you have one that's been in his position for 15 years. So success has been keeping him in his position. You have a situation of one organization, although they employ because Houston Texans have had 3 African American head coaches in 3 years. So what does that say? You know what I'm saying? Is that a pat on the back, or what should that be? Or is it saying that these people aren't effective or aren't able to get the job done? Lovie Smith is a Super Bowl coach. He's been to a Super Bowl. We haven't seen anything from him since. At this point, I don't know. Potentially, it would, but again, I think the end state is the mindset or the perspective to keep Donovan is that if you choose who you think is best suited for your organization. So if the league had 32 African American head coaches, then what they're saying is that these 32 head coaches are considered at this particular time to be the best suited person for this job. That's what I would think from it. You already have some that's in place. And it would just be a situation to where, okay, this is where we're getting. And it could potentially be, but would it be seen as trending, or what would it be? Like, are these individuals clearly and concisely for the job? D'Amico Ryans just got hired. So we have, correction, I double back. I'm so sorry. Robert Salah. He's of Muslim descent. So that's another one. So him as well. So that's out of 32, you have 4 head coaches and one Muslim and one or one Arabic and one Latino of ethnicities. So that's where we're at. 6 of 32. 26 other teams have a different situation going on. So that's basically where you have it. So if all 32 other teams had minorities at the helm of their organizations, that would say that this is what's going on. Because the left is a huge influx of firing them other coaches, then that's not going to happen. Of course, when you look at it, Andy Reid ain't going nowhere currently. Bill Belichick, probably not currently. Pete Carroll, Kyle Shanahan, Nick Sirianni, like all these people ain't going nowhere. What has Steve Wilkes done with the Panthers to tell me that will make him a head coach? I think it was just the timing, Anthony. Like, he came in, he was under Matt Rule, he was getting opportunities. Because let's keep it in perspective. Steve Wilkes was one of the coaches fired in a year's time frame. He was given an opportunity. He went on. He was under Carolina. He's been in Carolina. He wasn't put in the position as an interim coach in Carolina. He did take them under, in my opinion, under a huge amount of pressure, not having a clear and concise person at quarterback. They brought in Baker Mayfield while Sam Darnold was Ellen. And basically Wilkes decided and looked at it and realized that Baker Mayfield wasn't for the Carolina Panthers. It wasn't the best situation. So he benched Baker Mayfield, started PJ Walker for the most part. PJ Walker went down. Sam Darnold came in. Once Sam Darnold was able to be healthy, he decided we don't need Baker Mayfield and decided to, went to his GM, and I guess they conferred with each other, and Baker Mayfield was out. Instead is he took them to finish the season with a 12-12, a 6-6 record, and was on the cusp of getting into the playoffs. So I could guess you say within that time frame, within that era time, he improved the franchise. And so it's like it comes down to like, okay, he did that with 12 games. What could he have did with the other 5? Could we have been in contention if he had been at the helm with the other 5 and been the head coach? Had he changed the culture in that time frame? I don't know. We don't know. And I think that's what's going off of, and which is like, well, this is why I'm deserving. But again, that can happen in a moment's notice. Like, that can happen. And I just think it's the consistency. Like, I can sit up and go through and clean the house and do all that type of stuff, but that sounds good to sit up and come in. It's like, oh, the house clean. Oh, the food's cooked. Oh, this is going on. And then it's like, but what happens over the course of the next 3 months, or even the next month, the next couple of days, when that stuff starts to dwindle as time goes? And so it becomes a consistent thing. You want to find consistency. And so in finding that consistency, that's where you start to be like, okay, this is the real deal. It's not just because everyone was watching and this is what is expected of me. What are we doing later on down the line? 3 years down the line, have we won a division championship? 3 years down the line, have we been in the playoffs? 3 years down the line, have we been competitive? They had an opportunity in their division because no one was trying to grab it. It took Tampa Bay at the last couple of weeks to solidify them as the division champions, but it was up for grabs. I keep it for years, but if Sean Payton wants to come to Washington, yeah, and I get it. It's like you basically go with something better piece. You go with something better, or at least something shinier that looks better. Like, is Sean Payton a better coach than Ron Rivera? Could Sean Payton get more out of their roster than Ron Rivera? And those be the things in which it's just a matter of willing. Are you willing to take a chance to invest in this person that you know have done better with other individuals to take the helm? It's a different. We can spread this out across so many different spectrums. No different when dating or a job. Do I take a chance on this individual to be a part of my organization or a part of my life or a part of whatever on the grounds that they're going to be better than the current person or the last person? Do I open myself up to this? And that's what it comes down to be. And so, yes, Ron, you know what I'm saying? He's good. I mean, he's all right. He's okay. But is he past his time? Is it time to get some fresh in there or take a different look at it? And that's what the owners have to go with, or the GM, because it's the GM's the option, in which we come back to who really be the problem. Do it be the GM? Does it be the coach? Does it be the quarterback? Who's the problem at this point? Because what happens is the owner is hiring these individuals, or could it be the owner? But in state, the owner has to sit up and atone for that, because it's their organization. Their money is being spent, and they're even productive or not. But you know what I'm saying? In state is whose fault is it? And in which it has to be, I think, a right mesh of all those things. A good mesh with the quarterback, the GM. Like, the GM's job isn't just to sit up and choose the quarterback. They have to run the organization. But you know what I'm saying? But that part of the reason for the season is the coach, and they bring in the good coach, and bringing in the good coach, them and the coach get together. They figure out, okay, what's going to be the best product we can put out there within our ramifications. You got left and right limits, salary cap, contracts, past contracts. So that takes a whole lot, you know what I'm saying? And they just bringing in the right people to maneuver that. Like we was talking about earlier, yesterday, the New Orleans Saints, $58 million over the salary cap. Salary cap. I don't know how I just said that. $58 million. Oh, correction. Yeah, $58 million over the salary cap, and they have a plethora of issues. So now they have to devise a plan to bring in help to make their team better and get down, or they're going to have to pay, or the owner's going to pay for that. When you have a team, I think it's somebody, it's even the Panthers or the Bears or somebody out there, $91 million under the salary cap. Plenty of room to play with to make their roster better. So just determined. Yeah, it remains to be seen. A couple of other things moving forth, of course, in the NFL before we get into some NBA action and NBA talk in the last 45 minutes of the show. Another movement. So I'm really starting to take a looking at this stuff, the All-Star game, right? Correction, Pro Bowl. Yesterday we discussed and talked about who was going to be in, particularly for the AFC, because that seems to be where everything's going on. That is the best. He's in. I just talked about him. He is. I can tell you. He is currently Biscotti. That's what his name is. He is currently in, because he interviewed for one. He's in Green Bay, Anthony. He's the one of those people which I talk about is on a second interview for the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. So he's the special teams coordinator in Green Bay. But like I said, real quick about the Pro Bowl, we just talked about yesterday how people got replaced and who was replacing. We just talked about how Huntley got his in. He's in for the Pro Bowl because Josh Allen has a knee injury. Now, due to Joe Burrow isn't going to play, they have added Derek Carr to play in the Pro Bowl in Las Vegas, and what will be his last Pro Bowl. His last play in Vegas potentially, if he is traded or moved out. Is this starting to be a joke, the Pro Bowl? Just to put a question out there, because like I said, I want to move on in a little bit. But is the Pro Bowl starting to become a joke, a laugh factory? You have, and not saying anything too particular in reference to Mr. Huntley, right? He played a couple of games, threw 2 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, and gets a Pro Bowl nod. Of course, we know Tua couldn't play because he's still dealing with, I think he's still in protocol. You already had Joe Burrow bow out. Allen's injured. He can't play. Lamar Jackson's injured. He can't play. Patrick Mahomes is going to be playing in the Super Bowl. Besides that, the other 6, when you look at the other teams of the 16 on the AFC, who do you have? Not White, not Mike White, not Zach Taylor, not Mac Jones. Who else is out there? Not Ryan Tannehill. He's injured anyway. Not Matt Ryan or Ellinger. So I guess when you look at it, who else do they have? So I think it's maybe this Pro Bowl is being marred by the simple fact that it's just not enough players to go around for them to say, okay, we have these other players that are serviceable. Davis Mills, Deshaun Watson. Pickett, maybe Pickett. Maybe Pickett wouldn't have been a bad selection. Pro Bowl in his rookie year. Actually, who could have been? When I think about it now, could there have been a better selection? Real quick, that's got me going. He's done. Like I said Mac Jones. He's done. Pickett. We talked about that. Trevor Lawrence is going, so he's there. He couldn't. Justin Herbert. Why didn't Justin Herbert get selected? Or Russell Wilson? So maybe they got outside of Justin Herbert. I don't know. So just a thought, of course, you know what I'm saying? Of course, moving on. Last night's games. Excuse me. As I pull them up, last night's games. Light work last night. I mean, I think I think when you look at it, Anthony, there's a legitimate reason when you look at it, and which I see is a legitimate reason. Basically, he was the best of what was left, in my opinion. So that's what it was. So especially, and then it might also, I think, also what comes into play is the game itself. It's a flag football game, so he is more conducive. His skill set is more conducive to that game as opposed to Mac Jones. And they should probably start looking at like we will give some young fellas an opportunity. But yes, yesterday, 5 games in the making, 5 games played. Of course, some other stuff went down, which we get to in this next 40 minutes. But of course, first of the 5 games, we saved the best for last, fam. The Miami Heat were hosted by the Cleveland Cavaliers, in which Jimmy Butler and company go into Cleveland and get the dub. 23 points, 1 rebound, 5 assists from Jimmy Butler. 18 points apiece from Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, and Caleb Martin. 2 of the 3 double-doubles. Bam, 11 rebounds, 1 assist, as well as Caleb Martin with 10 rebounds and 1 assist. Hero contributed with 5 rebounds and 3 assists on the night. 6 points from Kyle Lowry. Victor Oladipo, 5 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists. Gabe Vincent, 9 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. And Orlando Robinson, 3 points, 3 rebounds, and 1 assist. The Cavaliers, led by Evan Mobley's 19.7 rebounds, 4 assists, 14 points apiece from Karis LeVert and Jared Allen. Allen with the double-double, 11 rebounds to go along with the 14 points. Karis LeVert, 5 rebounds and 3 assists, 16 points apiece from Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, 5 assists and 1 rebound for Garland. Donovan Mitchell, 3 rebounds, 9 assists. 5 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists from Isaac Oroku. 5 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists from Dean Wade. 8 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, rookie Rubio. But it wasn't enough. Couldn't make it fit. Just missing a dub as the Heat get the W 100-97. With the win, the Heat improved to 29-23, 6 games above 500, keeping pace in the East. The Cavaliers 31-22. Clearly ahead of the Heat, but losing ground on the league's top leading team in the Boston Celtics. Another game last night, of course, the Los Angeles Clippers were hosted by the Chicago Bulls, in which the Clippers were victorious. That's 2 so far. Watch the little trend. 2 traveling teams on this yesterday with the W. The Clippers 108-103, as I said before, led by Kawhi Leonard's 33 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 27 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists from Norman Powell. Paul George, 16 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists on the night, 14 points, 12 rebounds, 1 assist for Ivica Zubac. 5 points and 1 assist, Terrence Mann. Kennard, 4 rebounds and 1 assist as he makes his way back from his injury. 5 points, 1 rebound. Robert Covington, 2 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists from Reggie Jackson. Nicholas Batum, 6 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist. For the Clippers, you see it's a whole different ball game when you got Kawhi and Paul George in the lineup. You see Zubac did tremendously well. Norman Powell got off. He did well. But just the other night when Kawhi nor George were in the picture, it was very dismal for them. Chicago Bulls in a losing effort, led by Nikola Vucevic, 23 points, 14 rebounds, 4 assists, 18 points, 14 rebounds, 8 assists from Zach LaVine, 20 points, 2 rebounds, 5 assists from DeMar DeRozan, 11 points apiece. Patrick Williams, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, and Ayo Damansu, 4 assists and 3 rebounds. Alec Caruso, 10 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 8 points, 4 rebounds from Kobe White. Derek Jones contributed with 1 rebound, and Goran Dragic with 8 assists. Andre Drummond finished it up 2 points, 5 rebounds, as the Clippers knock off the Chicago Bulls. With the loss, the Chicago Bulls dropped to 23-27 on the year. Still on both sides of the spectrum, actually, when you look at it, they're not out yet, but got some work to do. The Clippers 29-25, 4 games above 500, keeping pace in the West. Currently, I think sitting at the 5th seed. I have to go back and look after last night's games. And the beat goes on, of course. Next game, of course, the Charlotte Hornets pulled up to the Milwaukee, in which the Milwaukee made sure they didn't fall victim to what everyone else was falling to, those home hosters. As Charlotte could not get the W here, losing 124-115 to the Milwaukee Bucks on their home court. Charlotte led by a triple-double from LaMelo, 27 points, 10 rebounds, 11 assists, 20 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists for Terry Rozier, 16 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists from Gordon Hayward, 14 points apiece from P.J. Washington and Mason Plumlee. Plumlee with the double-double, 14 rebounds and 5 assists. P.J. Washington, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. 15 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist from Jalen McDaniels, 2 points apiece from J.T. Thornton and Dennis Smith as Jr., as well as Mark Williams contributed with 5 points, 7 rebounds in 17 minutes of play. For the Milwaukee Bucks, of course, Giannis Antetokounmpo doing damage, 34 points on the night, double-double with 18 rebounds, 4 assists, 15 points, 13 rebounds, 3 assists from Drew Holiday. Matt Connaughton, 8 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. 18 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists for Chris Middleton. Joel Ingles contribute 8 points, 3 rebounds, and 1 assist. Grayson Allen on the court with 12 points and 3 rebounds. Brook Lopez, 8 points, 11 rebounds. Wesley Matthews, 11.6 rebounds and 1 assist, very effective in the 60 minutes of play. Javon Carter with 8 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, all in a winning effort as they walk away with the 9-point victory on their home court. With the win, the Milwaukee Bucks currently 34-17. Charlotte drops us 15-37 on yet another night in which they couldn't make it happen. 2 other games on the night. The New Orleans Pelicans, hosted by the Denver Nuggets, continue battle out west as the Pelicans continue to drop further and further in the standings, in which, of course, leads to who is in the play-in. Again, just like last year, the Pelicans in a play-in tournament could be damning to most teams, especially once they get Zion Williamson back. But until then, they're without him. And not looking the best. Brandon Ingram making his debut as he came back. But the squad led by 21 points apiece from Herb Jones, 4 points and 4 rebounds. CJ McCollum coming back, 21 points, 2 rebounds, 7 assists. Ingram, 16 points, 4 rebounds, 9 assists. 14 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist from Trey Murphy III. 13 points, 11 rebounds, and 1 assist from Larry Nance Jr. Jonas Valanciunas contribute with 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 10 points. Jose Alvarado, 3 rebounds, 3 points, 1 rebound, and 2 assists on the night, as well as Willie Herman Gomez, 6 points, 2 rebounds. In the losing effort, the Nuggets, led by Nikola Jokic, yet again, another triple-double, 26 points, 18 rebounds, 15 assists, 1 second. Please heat that thought. Yes, I'm sorry. So sorry. Yes, Nikola Jokic, yet again, another triple-double, 26 points, 18 rebounds, 15 assists, 32 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists from Jamal Murray. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, 15 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 15.6 rebounds, 6 assists from Aaron Gordon, 13 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, Michael Porter Jr. Clicking on all cylinders. This 5, man, from Denver is a definitely matched up, in my opinion. Jeff Green, 8 points, 4 points from Christian Bond. Highs, Nashawn Bones Nyland, 2 points, and Zeke Naji didn't have anything, but didn't really play that much. As Denver gets the W, 122 to 113, improving to 35-16 on the year as they continue to lead the Western Conference. With the loss, that drops the Pelicans to 26-26 on the year, currently at 500. But of course, more time. That's only 52 games, still 30 games to be played for the rest of the year. So we'll see how that turns out. after they get into the All-Star break. Who else did we have last night? Oh, ah. And of course, last but not least, the Los Angeles Lakers, after going 0-2 on their back-to-back away games. We all know they lost to the Boston Celtics in what was a bad loss, missed call, caused a loss. I'm not gonna say caused a loss, contributed to the loss. And then they went into New York the next day and took a L to the Brooklyn Nets. Of course, LeBron and AD did not play in that game. They had a night off as they traveled down or the other side of the city or across the state line to Madison Square Garden, to where they met up with the New York Knicks, in which the game hit a fever pitch overtime, of course. But the Lakers victorious with the 129-123 dub over the New York Knicks in the Garden. The Knicks led by Jalen Brunson's 37 points, 2 rebounds and 6 assists, 23 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists from Julius Randle, 13 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists from RJ Barrett. Quentin Grimes contributed 12 points with 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Double-double from Isaiah Harrison with 16 points, 13 rebounds, and 1 assist. Emmanuel quickly contributed 19 points, 3 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 points, 5 rebounds for Obi Toppin, and Miles McBride with the a contribution. For the Lakers, LeBron James, notching what was his first triple-double of the year. But not only that, but LeBron James also took sole place of fourth place all-time assists, as he jumped both Mark Jackson and Steve Nash to get to 10,338 assists in his career, become the fourth all time. LeBron James, 28 points, 10 rebounds, 11 assists. Anthony Davis, 27 points, 9 rebounds, 1 assist, 17.6 rebounds, 8 assists from Russell Westbrook. Dennis Schroeder, 12 points, 1 rebound, 6 assists to go along. Troy Brown, 9 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. Ryo Hachimura, 19 points, 9 rebounds on the night. 6 points from Max Christie. Thomas Bryant, 9 points, 1 rebound. Lonnie Walker, 2 points on the night. Of course, with the 28 points, LeBron James moves even closer to what would be him becoming the top player, top scorer in NBA history. Hold on one second. Sorry about that. But yes, with that, LeBron James just 78 points away from being holding the record for the most overall points in NBA history. So we continue to watch and look and see how that's going to go. With the Lakers winning in overtime, of course, with that win, they probably didn't do much. They can put too much in the needle. But of course, when you couple with a couple of other things, they are currently, the Lakers with the win, sit just 2 games outside of the play-in, um, 3 games, 3 games outside of being the 6th seed. So plenty of opportunity for the Lakers to get to make a run. The Nuggets currently sit above the top, still 2.5 games above the Grizzlies at the 2 seed. Clippers currently at the 4 seed. Uh, Warriors at 5, Mavericks at 6, Suns at 7, 8, the Timberwolves 9, the Jazz, and the Pelicans at number 10. So the Pelicans drop and are currently on the cuffs, just within striking distance uh, of being caught or dropped from the playing all together. Of course, tonight's games, the Trailblazers will face off against the Grizzlies. The Detroit Pistons host the Washington Wizards. The Orlando Magic will take on the Philadelphia 76ers in Philly. The Boston Celtics will host the New Brooklyn Nets in Boston. The Timberwolves to host the Golden State Warriors. Houston Rockets hosting the Oklahoma City Thunder. The San Antonio Spurs to host the hot streaking Sacramento Kings. Utah Jazz to host the Toronto Raptors, and the Phoenix Suns hosting the Atlanta Hawks, all in tonight's actions. 9 games to talk about come tomorrow. So additionally, what else happened yesterday is we're getting closer and closer to the All-Star weekend, in which we know today we should get put us even closer to the face-off or the pick-off, whatever we want to call it, whatever we dub it the name as myself and Bishop will be picking the top the NBA All-Star team based on what we feel. Bishop for the East, I for the West. So not tonight, but tomorrow night, or maybe late tonight, or by the time tomorrow, the roster should be revealed for uh, the reserves for the NBA All-Star. Maybe it gets leaked. But what happened yesterday, in which tomorrow the teams will be named, is the NBA Rising Stars roster or potential rosters was enacted. Of course, you know, the Rising Stars is basically the rookies, the top rookies, and second-year players put into a player pool and drafted for teams, to which 3 teams will be constructed, as well as the 1 team from the G League to be played of 7 players. So far already, the rookies from this year that were made in the class, in which potentially one of them may even be an all-star. We don't know yet. We have yet to be seen. But Detroit's Jalen Duran, as well as Jaden Ivey, made the roster for the rookie class. Atlanta's AJ Griffin, Utah's Walker Kessler, Indiana's Benedict Mathurin, who I think is potentially has an inside track between him and Pachero for the rookie of the year. Andrew Nebhart, Sacramento's Kings, Keegan Murray, Houston Jabari Smith Jr., and San Antonio's Jeremy Sohan, as well as Oklahoma City's Jalen Williams and Paulo Banchero, who is there as well. For the second year, of course, selected Jose Alvarado and Trey Murphy III will be, of course, a part of it. Toronto's Scotty Barnes, Oklahoma City's Josh Giddey, Houston's Jalen Green, and Alperen Sengun as well. New York's Quentin Grimes, Denver's Bones Highland, of course, LaShawn Highland, who actually I think won the MVP of the game last year. Cleveland's Evan Mobley, as well as Orlando's Franz Wagner, will make up the second-year players for that team. And then, like I said, 7 players from the G League will be enacted as a composed of Cisco, Mojave King, Scoot Henderson, Kenneth Lofton Jr., Mac McClung, and Leonard Miller and Scottie Pippen Jr. Makes up the G League squad. Basically, all 4 teams will play semifinal games with a target score of 40 points for their semifinal games. The winner of those 2 games will face off in the championship game, in which they will play to the target score of 25. So, of course, there you have it. Of course, 65 points for the game, for the winning score to be won. So they're going to put those teams together. I think the G League team is going to be going to run as a team, and then or maybe not, or it could be well, the G League team was going to play as a team. Coach Paul Gasol, Joakim Noah, and Darren Williams will be the coaches for those teams, and Jason Terry will coach the G League team. So already one team put together, which is the G League team. Additionally, the other 21 players will be drafted and put into teams for Paul Gasol, Darren Williams, and Joakim Noah to coach. And we'll see how that ends up. So already you have that. One thing we know, Joakim Noah not Joakim Noah, Mac McClung of G League fame will be a player in the slam dunk contest. So that's something potentially to look forward to. I think as well, Derek Jones, I think, is also going to be, have to go in back and find that. Of course, we still have the challenges with the slam dunk, the 3-point challenge to see who's going to be in there. So still more to come for the most part, but I can't wait till Thursday to see what the rest of, so I can finish off my strategy for this pickoff, in which we're going to be having. Last but not least, of course, I don't know, for those that do or don't remember Myers Leonard. We know he was a center with the Portland Trailblazers, in which he is trying to look to get back into the league. We had recently just know he had a workout with the Lakers as they was looking to fill their final roster spot. But there is more than what meets the eye. For one, presumably why Myers Leonard is currently out of the NBA after using the anti-Semitic slur during the video game live stream. Leonard has been without a team since then. Basically, he's saying there's no excuse. He accepts everything that comes with it, but he feels like that he should be given another chance outside of that. So, like I said, these live streams, I know all the time. I play with my counterpart Bishop, and he goes in sometimes. Never else anti-Semitic slur issued during that time frame, but things do get said. Like you hear a lot of stuff. Like I think we was on with a kid. He had to be, for one, I don't even know what the kid was doing on with us, because we was on in the middle of the afternoon, and my man was on. It was a weekday. So first and foremost, I don't even know how that happened. But then my man was like very explicit in his language. And I was like, this kid, I'm like thinking to myself, like, this bruh has to be at least 13 years old, and was talking mad junk, mad-ish, if you could say. And I think it ruined my game more than anything, because I'm trying to figure out, like, what part of the game is this? But of course, like I said, reason for saying that is it'd be cats on. It'd be a bunch of people on. People will be on, and you never know who or what you're going to get in that aspect. And of course, you never know who's listening or who's not listening. And sometimes it's not even about who's on; it's just about who's within earshot of you playing. Of course, now if you can play with the headsets, and you can only hear you going on. But of course, some of the time you can hear through the headsets, or don't play with any headsets. You hear through the TV, through the controller, and different things. But yeah, you gotta be. It's like the simple say, "I take responsibility for it." Isn't necessarily the thing, because in state is you ain't got no choice, especially if you said it. If you said it or did it and it's out there, then you had no choice but to even take responsibility or be on some Shaggy wasn't me type stuff and be like, you ain't on video, you didn't catch me on camera. It wasn't me. But in any case, I gotta get ready for this appointment as I get ready to have someone come by. I got some work to do, so I know it's going to get a little noisy in here. But I greatly appreciate y'all rocking with me this morning, tapping in. We'll see come tomorrow will we have it to where we understand and know who is the new Arizona Cardinals and or Indianapolis Colts coaches. I don't think it's going to happen because they have both are looking to interview Cincinnati candidates, in which I think they should have interviewed by now. I think it's set up to where they should have interviewed right now to get in before they get into the Super Bowl, media days and stuff like that. Of course, more to come. More talking about the NBA. More should be coming out in reference to what's going on. So I'm always here for it. Greatly appreciate Anthony, Kenneth, Don, Leslie, as well as Steve coming through to rock with me this morning. All those viewers that didn't respond, I see y'all. You know what I'm saying? I see the love and the likes and everything. Greatly appreciate it always. If ever anything what y'all think of or anything like that, feel free to always hit me up, Messenger. If you got my line, bang my line. Doesn't make a difference. Of course, in this, I'm very touchable and approachable by y'all. Love y'all. Peace. I'll holler at y'all. Enjoy the rest of y'all day. Y'all know where to find us tomorrow, 09. Fall in. Your boy Trey. And I'm